Class action lawsuit against Dr. Michelle Dow and so forth. So the defendants in the lawsuit, of course, be the abortionist herself, Dr. Michelle Dow. You think this is a joke? As the primary actor responsible for prescribing abortifacients and performing abortions, she would bear a direct legal liability. Yeah. Um, so Claire House, under the institution that enabled and facilitated her work, could be held responsible for failing to uphold ethical medical standards. The Clare municipal government for potentially funding or supporting a facility where systematic human rights violation occurred. The Minister of Health for overseeing and allowing such medical malpractice to continue unchecked. The Attorney General for failing to prosecute crimes against the unborn, His Majesty the King, the Government of Canada, as the ultimate authority under which these policies were permitted and enforced. The Crown would be held accountable for enabling these actions. A legal basis for the lawsuit, a wrongful death. So each victim represents a life lost due to deliberate medical action. Medical malpractice, Dr. Dow violated her ethical and legal duty to do no harm by prescribing life ending drugs and procedures without full disclosure to patients. Failure to obtain informed consent. If women were not made fully aware that birth control pills or other prescriptions, such as IUDs, implants, and injections and all this stuff, could cause embryonic death, they were misled. Negligence of oversight bodies. Regulatory bodies failed to intervene despite the clear ethical implications of her actions. Crimes against humanity. Under international law, the systematic acts to prevent births in a targeted population can be prosecuted as genocide. Potential plaintiffs and who would join the class? Surviving parents, mothers and fathers who unknowingly lost children to prescriptions or procedures authorized by Dr. Deb. So fathers, right? Right. So it's not just they will not just say, oh well, you're not a woman, so you cannot claim. No. The father is 50% of the DNA of that child who died, and the mother is 50% of DNA of the child who died. Hmm. No, this is correct here. Yeah, no, that's correct. Women misled by medical providers, patients who were given um, abortifacient drugs without fully understanding their effects. And surviving siblings and extended families who lost potential members due to these actions, and religious or cultural organizations representing the loss suffered by an entire community due to depopulation. And I want to start a, I want to, not to get too close to these types of fringe conspiracy theories or whatever, but it certainly is applicable here. This is, this kind of depopulation seems like an agenda, but it certainly is a controlled attempt to reduce the population. I mean, that's exactly what is going on. This baby has died, right? So that is depopulation. Um, you know. I know there's some conspiracy theories and all that stuff, but I mean, this is certainly not a conspiracy theory. It they admit this type of stuff in embryology and all this stuff. There's no getting around this, right? Calculation of damages, compensatory damages. So financial compensation for emotional distress, loss of potential family members, and long-term physiological trauma. Punitive damages to penalize the defendants for their actions and set a legal precedent for accountability. Reparations for population decline. If proven that these medical practices contributed to a cultural erasure of the Acadian depopulation, there could be broader claims for demographic damages. So the legal challenges in response, the statute, they're salivating at the thought of a statute of limitation. What a wicked witch. Yeah. Some may argue that there's a legal time limit to bring such claims. However, crimes against humanity and genocide have no statute of limitation under international law. Government immunity. Defendants like the Minister of Health or Attorney General may claim sovereign immunity, but exceptions exist for gross human rights violation. So denial of direct culpability. Dr. Dow or Clare Health Center may argue that they were following the law. However, legal responsibility does not depend on the lawfulness of an act, but on its moral and ethical violations. And is are you culpable of a death? It sure is. Based on what? Based on the shifting of the goalpost and everything that we talked about in previous video, shifting the starting of the pregnancy and all this stuff, and disregarding medical science, disregarding embryology, disregarding the fact that in your heart this is wrong. The baby, the young boy or the young girl has died. Certainly cannot ever take away their, the young boy or the young girl's humanity there, but certainly, these abortifacients caused the death of these babies, and that's the problem here. Expected legal process: formation of the class. A law firm would gather plaintiffs and file the lawsuit as a collective action. So discovery phase: evidence, documents, and expert testimonies. Embryologists, former patients would be presented. A trial or settlement. If the case goes to trial, it could set a massive precedent. If settled, there would be financial payouts to the victims. How damages would be paid out. So personal assets of Dr. Dow, seizures of property, bank accounts, and earnings from her medical practice, which is like I said, I mean this bank account is bursting at the seams. There is no need for such extravagant luxury. I mean, she's exceedingly wealthy. I mean, there's no need. But anyway, the bank accounts here are. Let's just say the manager has a smile whenever she walks in the bank. Let's put it. I'll put it to you this way. She has ill-gotten gains from this, from her blood on the blood on her hands is certainly evidence that this is ill-gotten gains, right? Her career was extremely lucrative, and she's an abortionist, and she lives in a big brick mansion. She's tired of that brick mansion when she's go to her lakefront property and all this stuff. It's just the bed is so exceedingly comfortable. And so forth. We made a whole video about that, and how much how much money does she actually have, and who are her customers? Right, they are poor girls who are just trying to get a career and try to live a comfortable life themselves. Liability insurance from the Clare Health Center. If the clinic carries malpractice insurance, victims could be compensated through claims. And that's the thing too. Dr. Dale could be operating under a professional limited liability corporation, so there would be insurance there. I'm not sure if that is actually the case. I have to do some more homework on that. If Dr. Doe is operating under a professional limited liability corporation there, it very well could be. I mean, I would assume so, but maybe probably, but I don't actually have direct knowledge of that, but I would probably assume so. Um, Government compensation fund. If found liable, the Canadian government would be required to compensate victims through tax revenues or reparation programs. In international legal actions, if recognized as a crime against humanity, global courts could impose financial penalties. The final goal of the lawsuit is the justice for the victims, recognition and accountability for unborn lives lost. I'm not looking to get any type of blood money out of this. I really don't care. I'm doing quite well, and I'm fairly comfortable. I have a large. Pretty sizable house that I was able to build and by my own efforts, and it's a pretty sizable home, 3 stories, and all this stuff, I get everything I need. I don't need any type of blood money at all. But certainly there's a lot of people that would need some money, and certainly people that were wronged by Dr. Michel Dow would benefit from that financial the damages. I mean, the damages should be paid out to these people. Now, here's important. This is extremely important. Deterrence for future practitioners. A clear legal precedent that abortionists and institutions will face severe consequences and systematic reform, pressuring policymakers to reevaluate and change laws that allow such medical malpractices to continue. Right. So this is the civil side of it, but the criminal side of it is clear. This is black and white. It should be, without any doubt, that it should be a 25-year parole ineligibility period on top of a life sentence. Right. So the life sentence, life means life. Right. You will die in the prison. You will go to prison for the rest of your life, and perhaps if there are some significant changes in circumstances, then perhaps that person will be granted parole. But then if they were to reoffend, they will go right back to the prison. But and there's no guarantee for parole, but a life sentence. In that parole, and in that parole, the eligibility for parole would not even start until they have finished their 25-year time. Right? They must serve the full 25-year time before they are eligible for parole. We did a whole video about that, but this would be a civil case, so we are talking about the civil case. But a criminal case would certainly be required here. So here we are talking about the class action lawsuit against Dr. Michel Money-Dow. Um, and the problem is, of course, these are young boys and young girls that are being killed. So this is these civil cases would certainly be there would be merit to the civil cases, and the grounds in the claims would certainly have merit. So because I mean these are small boys and small girls that are being killed by these abortifacients. So that is the issue there. So that is all. That's all for this video. I'll see you. Bye bye.